if you have a brand new airplane, and you're not sure how to where to set the CG and how to set up the control surfaces, first of all, look at the documentation that came with it. I mean, the manufacturer has already tested that design. He knows any quirks. He knows what you need to do. He wants you to succeed. So any advice that it gives you for the maiden flight, just follow it. End of story. But a lot of the time they don't give you any advice, or of course in my case it's my own design, so I don't really know how the airplane is going to behave in the air. So there's some general guidelines that I use that you might find useful. Now I mentioned before that putting the CG 25% of the core back from the leading edge is a good spot to put it on for a maiden flight and in general. And you do have to take into account taper and sweep, and this airplane has both. But that's a good spot. That's pretty well known. I mentioned that many times before. But on the control surfaces, it's a little different. But if you have a rudder, and this model has a vertical stabilizer, but it doesn't have a movable rudder. But if you have one, you basically want as much throw on the rudder as you can get away with. And that normally is 45 degrees, that's the way airplanes are designed, so you can move up to 45 degrees. So I will use that. On the elevator and ailerons, you don't need that much throw usually on a typical airplane. So I will do 30 degrees up, 30 degrees down on elevator, and same thing on the ailerons. And the nice thing with those numbers, 45 and 30, is that you can buy plastic triangles that have those angles. There's a 45 degree right triangle, and there's a 30, 60, 90 right triangle that you can buy. So you can put the 30 degrees on the side of the airplane and measure 30 degrees, and that's not hard to do. So just use that. Now on flaps, it's a little bit trickier. Normally you use flaps for two things: when you're taking off and when you're landing. And when you're taking off, you basically want to get a little bit more lift without getting more drag, okay? And the amount of flaps that's ideal really depends on the airplane, really depends on how much power you have available. But I will say you want to use maybe 15 degrees. And the reason why I'm saying 15 is also because it's half of 30. So if you have a 30, 60, 90 triangle, you can measure and try and measure about half, and that will be 15 degrees. And you may want to do 10, a little bit less. Again, it depends on the airplane, but do 15. That's a good starting point. And then when you're landing, you basically want as much drag as possible, because airplanes are very clean aerodynamically. That's how they're designed. But you want drag, so it slows you down, because when you're landing, you're trying to lose energy. There's one big caveat though, is that you want as much drag as possible, but you want to be able, in case of an emergency, you want to be able to give it full power and have the airplane still climb, okay? Because the thing is, you're coming in for landing, you have some sort of emergency, there's somebody standing there, there's an airplane on the runway, you give it full power, and you're more than likely to forget to pull up the flaps, okay? And that's why that rule came into being. So, if you have plenty of power and that's not an issue, then I will say use as much flaps as you can do, which up to 90 degrees, which means the ailerons are, if it's flap ailerons, they're straight down, like in this model, because you just want a lot of drag. But keep what I said in mind. So you may want to do less. You may want to do maybe 45 degrees as a starting point, and see if with 45 degree flaps at full power you can still climb. And if you can, then then do a little more. But so that's again another one that you're gonna have to make some adjustments on. But if you want a good starting point, okay, let's say 45 degree flaps, and see how it goes. So till next time.